Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today you join me as I go to pick up a Mazda 2 that I've just bought for £700. At the moment it just seems to be that we're only selling the cheaper end cars. I'm guessing it's thanks to the uncertainty in our economy. And I hate selling the cheaper end stuff. They only attract cheaper people, then they break, then they call you names, then they threaten to take you to court, and it's just a complete disaster from start to finish. But I've got to keep the wool from the door somehow, and if this is all that's selling, then I'm afraid I've got to roll up my sleeves and get on with it. With that in mind, yesterday I was offered this 2010 Mazda 2 diesel, so I thought, why not? This is what seems to be popular right now, so I can't really turn down a profit opportunity. And on the whole, they're not bad cars, the Mazda 2. I've had loads of them over the years, and they always seem to sell well, and they don't cost me a fortune to prepare. Most of the ones I've had though were petrol, and this is a diesel, and I'm not a big fan of diesel. Generally speaking, and I know some of you will disagree with this, but diesels are only bought by penny pinchers, otherwise you just have the petrol. And you don't want to buy a second-hand car of somebody who's being mean with money. There'll just be a load of deferred maintenance. That's my experience anyway. Please feel free to disagree in the comments below. Like I say then, I'd rather this was petrol, but with used cars you can only buy what's out there. There isn't some used car factory from which I can order what I'd like. You get what you're given, that's it. Just got to get on with it. I'm guessing because of the low price it's either high mileage or very scruffy, or both. I'm desperately hoping though that it's neither. I've paid £700 for it. Hopefully I'll only spend £300 on preparation, so it'll owe me £1,000. Then hopefully it'll be worth £2,000. That'll leave me a profit of £1,000. That's quick maths. I can tell from here that you're very impressed. Then again, I did get a B in mathematics at GCSE level. Thank you very much. Right, let's go and have a look, shall we? These Mazda 2s always seem to be odd colours. This one will either be bright blue or that sort of plummy colour that's not black, but it's also not purple. You know what I mean. Nissan do a similar colour in the Qashqai. I think it's to distract you so that you don't realise what a turd you're buying. Well, I can't miss that kind of... I told you they were all weird colours. This is a very bright lime green. Actually, it's not too bad. Looks okay on the body. There's a small dent in a rear door. Small dent on the bonnet. It's not too bad actually, that. Before we look around it, let me do a vehicle history check. So as always, I'm going to use a company called Car Vertical. All you need to do is go to carvertical.com. Type in the vehicle reg, which in this case is Foxtrot Echo 10 Tango Lima Victor Tel Aviv. Check vehicle. I've done a deal with Car Vertical, so if you click the link below in the video description and use the promo code HIGHPEAK, you'll get 10% off each and every vehicle check that you do. It's really important that you do one of these before you buy a car. It checks for mileage fraud, accident history, outstanding finance, all that sort of stuff, so it's really important that you do one of these checks. It doesn't cost much and it only takes a couple of minutes. It's just really good for peace of mind. Plus, Car Vertical checks databases in dozens of countries. It's crying out for a new set of number plates. It's even more desperate for a good wash. You can see all the leaves collecting there in the little channel near the wipers. I guessed, didn't I, that at £700 it was either scruffy or very high mileage. And it doesn't look too scruffy, to be honest. Apart from wanting a good clean, it doesn't look too bad. So I'm guessing the mileage is up there. Right, and the report's ready. So, there's no mileage fraud, it's never been stolen, never been involved in any accidents, and there's no outstanding finance. So we're clear on those four fronts. It was manufactured in January 2010, registered in March 2010. Oh, April, sorry. 04. Let's see if there's any MOT on it then. It last had its MOT test in September this year. That was only last month. Right, okay, and it passed, but there were two advisory items. Oil leak but not excessive, oil filter housing, and steering rack has slight play, detected at steering wheel. That's it. That's not bad, is it? If that's anything like the Fiestas, then that might not actually be the steering rack, it might be the universal joint. The UJs fail, and then it gives you like a bit of a clunk on the steering wheel. It could be that, rather than a whole rack. Right, so let's look at the mileage then. So at the last MOT, the mileage was 130. Saying that, it's only, what are we in, 2022, 2010 car. It's only 10,000 miles a year, isn't it? It's not particularly high. About average really, isn't it? And they've done about 8,000 miles a year. Well, that all stacks up then, doesn't it? Oh, this is interesting. So, Car Vertical also gives you a rough valuation. So, the trade price of this car is $1,270 and the retail price is $2,250. That's not bad, is it? I was guessing that the car owes me £700, spending £300 on it, and I should be able to double my money. But that's telling me that it might be worth a little bit more. Let's go and have a look then, shall we? Okay then, let's go and have a look at Kermit the Frog. It's very green, isn't it, that? But the bodywork looks okay. There's a small dent there in the driver's door, but not one that you'd bother doing. Quite tidy around the back. Original number plates. It's a TS2 spec, so it should have some optional extras on it. It's just very green. Look at all the mould or whatever it is. Moss. It's everywhere. This should clean up quite well though. It's got alloy wheels, and that tyre is on about 5mm, that's alright. That is a Kingstar, never heard of it. Up front, we're on about 5 or 6mm there. Can't read the brand of that because it's covered in mud. But, looks quite clean. Well, not clean, but you know what I mean. Quite straight. Little dent there, which will touch in. Just need some green paint. I think that's a job for our own ball, really. We've got a land sail here I've just clocked with about 5mm. Little scuff there will touch in. That's what I mean about all the leaves everywhere. This wants a very good clean. It's even got its old tax disc, look. So this only costs £20 to tax. That's what everybody wants these days. Cheap. Another Kingstar on the back there with 5mm. Well, that's all right. Wants a very good buff. Good clean and buff. Let's have a look inside then. My remote fob works. Look at all the mould again. Oh, I've just seen the interior. Oh dear. Why do people keep the cars like this? I don't even know what has been living in here. Straw, hair, leaves. Looks like they've transported an old Christmas tree at some point. It's just disgusting. And the back is even worse. Never had a set of mats. Gross. Absolutely gross. It should actually clean up though. Pop the bonnet there. We've got front electric windows, power fold mirrors, electric mirrors, manual windows in the back. Quite a bit of leg room though, isn't there, for a small car? Yeah, and you've got Isofix points. Quite a sensible little family car, this, isn't it? Let's have a look in the boot. We've got a parcel shelf. It's just collapsed in my hand. Right, it's missing a pin there then, isn't it? I'm sure we can make something up. Right, let's get this out of the way. Look at the size of that. Got the wheel there off a Ford Anglia. So I need to repair the parcel shelf. There's not an awful lot to do to this, is there? And, believe it or not, guys, there is a retail car here. As I said, this is what seems to be selling right now, so I'm just going to get stuck in. Now I know for a fact Mazdas have a digital service record. Lock and wheel nuts in there. Let's see if there's any history. Right, I'm just going to move you away there before I get done for data protection. We have got some history. All Mazda as well. Serviced at 13 miles, then 14,000 miles, then 27,000 miles, then 42,000 miles. Is there any more? Is that it? Please tell me there's more than that. Okay, well that was anticlimactic, wasn't it? We've got full Mazda history to 45 or whatever, as I just said. Could be better, but it could also be a lot worse. Fingerprints there. Not sure what's taken place here. Got a very stiff bonnet catch. Needs a bit of WD-40. It's black, but it doesn't look that old, if that makes any sense. It's not sludgy. Bit of corrosion here, Japanese car, standard. Got a new Bosch battery by the looks of things. Yep, digital service record. That's all well and good, as long as you actually service them and update the digital record. Right, well that actually looks okay. No obvious leaks that I can see. It said it was leaking oil, didn't it? Or it had a minor leak from its oil filter. Can't see anything obvious. It does look a bit damp actually under there. Can you see that? I don't know whether you can see that or not. And it's also missing its washer fluid cap. Right, so let's fire her up. Quite surprisingly, it doesn't smell too bad in here. Looking at all the straw and hay, you'd expect this to smell, wouldn't you? But it's not too bad. We've also got an auxiliary point. It's what any young person wants these days. It has done 130,000 miles. Have we got any warning lights? Well, it sounds okay. No CD in there. Radio works. Fan, does that work? Fan works on all speeds. Try the old aircon. Straight away, that's getting cold. Ah, that's positive. Look at the green everywhere. I think then we should take this for a quick drive. See how it performs. Oh, I can hear the clunky steering now. Can you hear that? It is quite pronounced, that. Let me just open the barrier. What's rattling? Well, the steering's clunky, as it predicted, or as it said on the previous MOT. There were a few rattles and stuff, but then there was something loose in the boot, wasn't there? So it might just be that. Well, we've got a long MOT with a couple of advisory items, so I think what I'll do, because it drives well, is run it down to my workshop, get them to do a service on it, see if they can sort this steering out. I suspect it's going to need a new rack. But then it's a 130,000 mile car that's 12 years old. How far do you go? What would you do? Would you replace the rack for a couple of £100 or would you leave it? This is the trouble with cheaper cars. The costs run away with themselves, and whoever buys it is still expecting a brand new car. I get this all the time. I had somebody last week buy an 09 car off me, and then they whinged and whinged 2 weeks after buying it because they got a puncture and a bulb went out. That could have happened on a brand new £100,000 car, and I guarantee the dealer wouldn't be putting a hand in the pocket. But I did. People have got unreasonable, unrealistic expectations. And I found that the cheaper the car is, the worse that gets. With this car, for example, once I've turned it around at maybe £2,000 or £2,200, you'd expect somebody to just think, well, right, okay, I'll get 2 or 3 years motoring from it. But no. What I'll get is somebody there criticising every last stone chip on the bonnet. Or somebody that brings their own mechanic with a yoga mat and gets under it, and pokes and prods and wants every last little thing doing. I see it all day long, day in, day out. Do my windows work? Of course they do, it's Japanese. What about the mirrors? They're noisy, but they work. Christ, they are noisy. This should be quite an easy car to turn around. I'm going to drop it at the car wash now, and then once again run away quickly. Then in a day or two, pick it up, fit a set of fresh mats, fit a set of fresh number plates, touch in the paintwork, and then run it to my mechanic once it looks cleaner. I always think, as daft as it sounds, you've got more chance of a car being condemned when it looks like this. If I turn up at my mechanic's in an immaculate car, chances are they'll think it's alright. Apart from the clunky steering, it drives very well. Clutch is nice and light, engages all the gears correctly, it pulls well, turbo's engaging. The brakes work and even the air conditioning works. So I think I've caught this just in time. Another 6 months at this rate and this could be fit only for the scrapyard. But I shall try my best to give it a new lease of life. I think then that's it. There's no point going any further in it. I'll catch up with you in a couple of days. You're not going to believe this, you might want to sit down. I've bought a cheap car for once that hasn't been condemned. How good's that? It's actually, believe it or not, turned into quite a nice little thing. After we last spoke, I dropped it off at the local car wash for a full valet. That cost me £50, and they've completely transformed it. I ordered some tailored mats for it from eBay, they cost me £12, so I've put those in. And now the interior's very clean. Doesn't stink either. Great success! When I got it back from being clean, there were a couple of little marks on it, mainly fingerprints, I guess, kiddie fingerprints actually, on the outside. So I got my little buffing wheel on it and some paste and buffed them off. I ordered some new number plates for it from Harrods. Now, I should have mentioned on the last video when I mentioned Harrods, I don't mean the one owned by Mr. Fayed in Knightsbridge. I don't mean that Harrods, there's actually another one in my village which sells motoring bits. So I ordered 2 plates from there, they cost me £12, and again, they've instantly lifted it. I think I've got a stone stuck in a tyre there. All you can hear is a bit like when you were a kid and you put a playing card in your bicycle spokes. After I fitted those plates, I then took it to my mechanics for a service and I asked them to look at that knock-in steering. Remember, it had quite a long MOT on it already, but there were 2 advisory items. One for the knock-in steering, which they thought was a rack, and the other for an oil leak. To my amazement, my mechanic called me this morning and said, "Right, your little green Mazda's ready." I said, "Really? I thought you'd have condemned it." She said, "No, it actually wasn't that bad." She said a couple of the tyres had slow punctures, so we've replaced the beads. The oil leak was coming from the seal around the oil filter housing, so we've cleaned that off and replaced it. We couldn't find anything wrong with the steering, so as always I was a bit suspicious, but I've been and picked it up and I can't hear it clunking anymore. I must have bought the only car that's fixed itself. I've got it advertised for $1995 and I'm pretty sure it'll sell. This is the kind of stuff that's selling right now, unfortunately. In terms of economic uncertainty, you can see why, can't you? It only costs £20 a year to tax. I've just stopped and put £15 in it, which has bought me half a tank of fuel. And I'm guessing it'll do 60 miles per gallon, if not more. It isn't for me, it's not exactly my dream car, it's not a Ranger or a Vogue, but it'll do somebody, I'm sure. What I'm going to do now is find somewhere to park and go through my costs, which for once shouldn't take long. Can't believe it. We're in uncharted waters here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just passing the local church and I've just had a chuckle to myself at the cars. We've got a Yaris, we've got a Honda Jazz, another Honda Jazz, we've got a beige Skoda Roomster. If ever there was a car that screamed local do-gooder, it is a beige Roomster. Come on, you get bust through there, pal. And last but not least, a Polo Dune. Dune. Oh, I sold that. That Antara there, I'm not going to make eye contact in case he's not happy with it. I sold that about 4 years ago. Still going strong, the old high peak autos. I think this will have to do. Quite like this little spot. So, let me get my calculator out. Turn her off. Horrible diesel engine. So we started with £700. That was my purchase price. On top of that, I paid £50 for a clean. £12 for some plates from Harrods, but not the Mohammed Al Fayed one. Another £12 on some mats from eBay. £78 at my mechanics. What else was there? That's it. £852. That's what this car currently owes me. Oh, £15 of diesel, I may as well count that as well. So £867 all in. I've got it advertised for £19.95. If it sells for the asking price of £1,995, which I'm pretty sure it will, I will walk away with £1,128. Not bad, is it? This, in theory, should be what every one of these kind of deals is like, but it's so rare to find a car of this age and mileage with a bit of life left in it. Most have been run on a shoestring for the last 5 years and they're completely flogged to death. They're fit only for the scrapyard. So it's made a nice change to get something with a little bit of profit in it. Makes up for all the other dross where I've lost money. So, I was going to say on that bombshell, that's a Top Gear line, isn't it? But it is a bit of a bombshell. On that bombshell, thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'll leave the link below. And yeah, cheers guys. See you next time.